Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Look here, y'all. Let me tell y'all this story about a friend of mine that he ended up catching a case in the VG, right? I sat there and watched it go down, and I was just talking to him the other day, and he reminded me of that story, and I started laughing at him. I said, man, uh, whatever happened about that case, you know what I'm saying? And he told me, because he's out now. And it turned out bad for him, right? He ended up getting some more time. I'm going to share that story with you, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, every time you make a move in here, that don't mean you get on the other end of it, man, and everything come out great. You know, sometimes you get caught up and sometimes you got to pay the piper, right? The game has got rules, and those rules usually don't favor the one that gets caught. But in this situation, uh, things went south, not because of him, but because of the mule. And the mule ended up running his mouth. So I'm going to let you know that story right now, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that you enjoyed this show, right? This story, I'm going to call this story the banana in the tailpipe, y'all. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Check this out, y'all. My partner, man, I've been knowing this brother, man, probably over 20 years. Good brother, minds his business, gets his money. Always been a hustler. One thing about him, you know, he gonna keep him a gal and he gonna keep that pack moving. You know what I'm saying? No matter where he's at or what he's doing, right? So check this out. We run into each other some years later, man, at another prison, and he ends up wanting to move up to the cell with me. You know what I mean? Because he know I'm gonna shake the spot and he gonna shake the spot, right? And plus, we always had, you know what I'm saying, that bond of where we were just straight, made good sellers. You know what I'm saying? So we made that happen, right? So when he moved in with me, I didn't know he had fallen on some hard times, right? He didn't tell me what had happened to him, and that's what I'm getting ready to tell y'all. You know, his gal was shaking the spot. She had that work out there. You know what I'm saying? So whatever he needed, she would send to him. Man, y'all hear that lightning? It's thundering outside, y'all. But anyway, let me get back to the story, because, boy, that lightning, I don't like that lightning, y'all. I'm telling you now, it ain't no joke. You can hear this all the way in the pod. The building's shaking. It said climate, global warming. I'm telling y'all, you better be watching out for that. But anyway, let me get back to the story. That lightning done totally distracted me. But here's the thing. He's up in the VG one day, right? He got this mule. He got this dude here. You know, I met him when I got up there. He walk around asking people that he thinks move that pack. Look here, you need somebody to bring the pack back for you from the VG. I'll take care of that for you for this and that. And he undercutting everybody. Because normally you give people a 25%, a quarter off the pack. Like if you get an ounce, you give them a quarter. You feel what I'm saying? Off the pack, that's payment. He charging half of that. He don't even want the whole 7. Just get him 3.5 and he cool. You feel what I'm saying? 3.5 grams for those of you that don't know. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, I never took him up on it. You know, it was just something weird to me about somebody walking around undercutting his own self. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you charging yourself, but it was just something suspicious about him. And then his nose used to run all the time. Gave me a bad feeling, you know. And I see somebody, I ain't no fool, and I ain't no dude that don't care about people, because you know people got addictions and stuff like that. But his nose used to run all the time, and then his nose was always just red. I'm like, oh no, he ain't even clean. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, long story short, I just cut ties from him. I ain't even never messed with him, right? But this the dude that my partner was working with. So here's what happened. Check this out, because this is crazy to me. But this is what happened. My partner set up everything with him, right? And my partner has his girl, violation of rule number 1, bring the pack in. She bring in the pack. She go to the restroom, take the pack out, come back out. She put the pack in the vending machine. Now, if you know what a vending machine look like, right? You put your card on there, punch the button. On the street, y'all put your money in there, and the stuff fall at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And then you open up the thing, get your product out, and you keep it moving. Well, she went up there and did all that, and when the potato chips fell down or whatever it was, she put the ounce of weed in there and took the potato chips out. And then she walked past the table and she told dude, because she knew who dude was, that it's in there, right? So he go to the vending machine, he get the pack out, and he's walking back to the table. This is how the story come to me, right? Because it's unbelievable what he did. Now look here. If you're a mule in the penitentiary, First thing you do, secure the pack, right? Secure the pack. Now, you got some moves in here that's so smooth, so fast, so slick. I'm talking about it's like a suction cup. Bam! It's up in them. You feel what I'm saying? But this dude was one of those dudes, he likes to evidently, you know what I'm saying, wait around, right? So back in the day, they used to let us wear long sleeve shirts to the VG, you know, white or gray. You know what I'm saying? With your blue shirt over the top. So he's got on his long sleeve grays. He go to the table. Now the police is watching. When I tell you in the VG, the police watching everything, I don't see how they do it. I'm telling you, their eyes just darting back and forth. They see everything that's going on, right? They might not say nothing, but they're watching. Trust me, they're watching. You feel? So they see him. He's at the table with his mama. At the table with his mama. He puts the pack in the sleeve of his arm. Now come on now, look here. An ounce of weed in his arm. Now you imagine long sleeves on, right? And you got an ounce of weed taped up as the bomb, right? And again, the sleeves are fitted around his wrist to the point to where, you know, it's snug. But that wouldn't stop the pack from coming out if you stood up and you would swing your arm like you were walking. You understand what I'm saying? So he's got the sleeve holding in his hand. The end of the sleeve, the part around his wrist, to make sure that the pack can't come out like that, right? But guess what? You can see something is in his shirt. Now, it don't take Stevie Wonder 2 minutes to see something ain't right with this picture. You understand? So about 4 of them bump down on him. Instead of him going to the restroom, he wants to go back to the vending machine and get him some ice cream. He feeling good, I guess. You know. So they bump down on him and his mama, tell him to get on the wall. Now, you know, when you're in the VG, you're in the penitentiary, right? Mama can't help you. So she said, what y'all doing? They said, ma'am, be quiet. Step over there. Oh, she had to shut her mouth. Or they gonna put handcuffs on her, right? It's a whole other world in here, right? They don't care who your mama, your dad, your son, or daughter. It don't make no difference. So they tell me, look, she get on the wall. They got him pinned on another wall. He got his arms up. When he put his arms up in the air, put them on the wall, guess what happened? The pack slid down to his elbow. Still in the sleeve, y'all. So they said the officer hit it like that. Tapped it on. He said, what is that? He said, nothing. The officer grabbed it by the wrist, flipped it, boom. One hand behind the back, then grabbed the other, boom. One other hand behind his back. Put the handcuffs on him. Then the officer shook it, and it slid all the way down to his wrist. So he took his finger, opened up the tuck part right at his wrist. All of a sudden, Eureka got a whole pack. Look here. The officer, you know, they get excited about that kind of stuff up in here when they bust somebody. You know what I'm saying? When they bust somebody, they get excited about that. So at the end of the day, they tell him, we got one going back. We just busted him with some drugs. They take him in the back where you got a strip search. So now they want to show out. You know, had the female officers escort his mama out. Guess what? They telling his mama, you must have bought that pack. Your visits are suspended. Then they got her down front. They done called the popo. Whoop, whoop. They coming to get her. You know what I'm saying? So she's sitting down there sweating, nervous, scared. She don't know what's going on because she didn't do it. But my partner, him and his gal, they sitting in there, they are freaked out. One, because they done lost the pack. Two, they don't know what dude gonna say. They have no clue what he's gonna say or what he's gonna do. Well, guess what? Didn't take them long to find out. Because, see, they were so spooked to move, they just sat in the VG trying to wait it out to see if they're going to come and get them. Well, guess what? They came straight to the table. He wasn't in the back 10 minutes. He told everything. Now, there's no way that they can prove it other than what, y'all? The cameras. So they done told him, they come to the table, they tell his wife, my partner's wife, look here, come with us. They take my partner, put handcuffs on him, walk him in the back. He's in the back sitting with the same dude that was putting in the work for him. They both sitting in the back. My partner said he was just staring at him. I said, what you say to him, bro? He said, man, I ain't say nothing, man. I'm scared they was taping it. I said, well, the gig is up. The gig is up. So what you gonna do now? He said, man, I sat there for a minute, man, and I wasn't saying nothing to him. And then I looked out the window because you could see out the window. He said, I saw out the window they had brought the police car, and he could see that they was escorting his wife and dude's mama to the car, put them in the back of the car. They driving off. He said, I dropped my head, Joe T. That's all I could do. I just dropped my head because keep in mind, his gal, she got that work on the town, so they already know about her in the city. So now he looking at it like, dang, I done got my gal messed up. He ain't thinking about dude, mama. He ain't thinking about that. That's his problem. So dude sitting in the back with him, he see the same thing. He gonna ask my partner, said, man, what you think they gonna do to him? My partner looked at him. I said, what you say to him, bro? He said, man, I ain't say nothing, man. I'm scared they taping everything. I said, yeah, I feel you on that. He said, so they came in the back, they picked up both of them and said, look here, y'all both going back to the back pending investigation till we figure out what's going on. If don't nobody want to tell us what's going on, right? My partner knew this was a game that they pop all the time, right? Because evidently they already knew what was going on because they came and got him. They just trying to get them to keep telling the story so they can figure out everything. Because dude can't really know what's going on the streets. You feel what I'm saying? Because my partner's gal is the one to bring it. They want to know everything. They trying to give her a case on the streets. Well, guess what? They sat in the back for 7 days. When you go to the hole up here, pending investigation in the penitentiary anywhere, it's 7 days right in Tennessee. So he in the back for 7 days pending investigation. They keep taking him on the yard. They put them in the cell side by side. Dude hollering at him at the vent, hollering at him out on the rec yard. I said, what you say to him, bro? He said, I ain't say nothing. I said, why not? He said, I'm thinking they was taping it. I said, oh, okay then. So you ain't say nothing to him the whole 7 days you was in the back. He said, Joe T, I done told you once, I done told you 3 times, man. I'm thinking they taping everything, so I ain't even talking to him. He said, but I'm giving him the evil eye. I said, you giving him the evil eye? What the evil eye gonna do? He said, I'm just letting him know I messed up with what he did, right? I said, but what the evil eye gonna do? He said, man, you know what's going on, man. I can't do nothing until they let us out of the hole. I said, oh, okay then. I said, so when you got out of the hole, what happened? He said, after 7 days, they let us both out of the hole. They put him on the top and me on the bottom. I said, but you still go to wreck together. I said, so what'd you do, bro? He said, I ain't do nothing. I said, why you ain't do nothing? He said, I'm scared they was watching. I said, oh, they ain't taping, now they watching. He was like, yeah, they was watching us. So I said, wait a minute. What happened next? He said, man, about 3-4 months go by, they ain't said nothing. They ain't said nothing to my gal on the town. They ain't saying nothing. I said, do you know if they said anything to Yamiru? He said, man, he kept leaving the penitentiary. They charged him. He was going back and forth to court. I said, oh, so they just charged him and his mama. He was like, yeah. I said, oh, y'all straight then, huh? He's like, no, we wasn't straight. He said, right at the 6-month period, guess what? I said, what? The grand jury returned an indictment on me and my gal. I said, what? Yeah, an indictment. I said, oh, man. So you got charged? He said, yeah, I got charged. I said, what to do you got? He said, they charged my gal too. I said, so both of y'all got charged? He was like, yeah. I said, wait a minute, bro. I said, so dude was still on the compound, y'all both done went out to court? And he said, man, yeah, when they took me out to go to charge me, they took him out to court too. He had a court appearance for the same case. I said, really? I said, well, what did they do? He said, well, they read my indictment, asked me what did I plead, assigned me a lawyer and all this and that. I said, what'd you plead, bro? He said, not guilty. I said, dig that. I said, well, what did the dude do when he got up and he went up and stood in front of the judge? He went up there and said something to his lawyer, and they told him to sit back down. I said, really? He said, yeah, and then they came and told me it's time to go. I said, well, both of y'all went out there on the same van, but when you got ready, when they pulled you out, they took you out and left him in the courtroom. He was like, yeah. I said, what do you think happened? He said, I don't know. I said, when he got back to the penitentiary later on that night, because you said y'all came back separate, right? He was like, yeah. I said, when he got back to the penitentiary later on that night, I said, what'd you say to him, bro? He said, I asked him what was going on. I said, now you're talking to him. He was like, yeah, I had to find out what was going on. I said, okay. I said, what did he tell you? He said, man, they offered him an opportunity to testify against me and my gal. He said, but I ain't going to do it. I said, did you believe him? He said, I ain't know what to believe. I said, what you mean you don't know what to believe? All up to this point, everything is pointing to him that he's the one that's told everything. And you don't know what to believe? He testified. He said, Joe T, quit playing with me. I already know. I got a court date coming up. I said, wait a minute. You got a court date coming up for introducing drugs into the penitentiary, but you didn't tell me this before you moved in with me? He was like, man, if I would have told you, you wouldn't have let me move in. I said, you know this, man. You know I wouldn't have let you move in with me, man. I said, now what? He said, man, what? I said, man, I don't think you're going to be able to stay in here with me. He said, man, don't do this to me, Joe T. He said, don't nobody want to mess with me. I said, why don't nobody want to mess with you? He said, man, because everybody expect me to whoop dude, man. I ain't whooped him. I said, bro, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm wondering why you ain't done it myself. But I understand. He said, man, you put me out, ain't nobody going to mess with me, man. I'm going to probably have to, you know what I'm saying, end up getting a cell with one of these dudes I really don't, you know what I'm saying, know or like or whatever. They're just going to throw me in any cell. He said, man, let me stay, Joe T. I said, man, I'm going to let you stay. I'm going to let you stay. But I ain't really understanding nothing about what you got going on, bro. So check this out. This is what happened. Every year, he got this case pending for 3 years, right? Every few months, they taking him out. He postponed it. He postponed it. They put the charge on him and his gal. They dismissed the charges against dude and his mama. Imagine that. They don't have no more information from anybody at all. But they dismissed the charges against him. Why? Because dude said he going to testify against my partner. So now he going back and forth to court trying to postpone it. Because they want to give him 8 years and run it wild to what he's already doing, which is 30 or 40 year sentence. So that means he would have to finish the 30 or 40 or make parole on it and then start on the 8. So he's stuck like Chuck. And then they want to give same 8 years in the penitentiary to his gal because they've been trying to get her on the town. Couldn't get on the town, but they got in the penitentiary. You know? So after 3 years, he finally went back to court. He told him, he said, look, this is what I'll do. I'm going to plead guilty. Y'all dismiss the charges against my gal and let her go and let it do what it do. The DA said, no, we ain't going to dismiss the charge against her. We'll give her probation. She ain't got to go to the penitentiary. How about that? She'll be on paper for 8 years. They agreed to it. He pled guilty. And he ended up years later, which is 10, 20 years later, 10, 15 years later, I misspoke. 10 or 15 years later, he made parole on the 3rd, and then he ended up making parole on the 8th. And he's home right now. Like I said, I ended up talking to him, you know what I'm saying, a few days ago, and he reminded me of this story. And I wanted to tell you this story because of this, right? A lot of times, you know, when we do things, we don't calculate all the way to the end on what can really go wrong. We always calculate on what could go right. And what we would do, you know, what do you calculate in the equation if something goes wrong? What would you do? What would you do if things went south? Would you take the charge? If it was your wife, your girl, or a friend of yours, would you take that charge knowing they were going to run that time consecutive to what you already have? And that means that you will finish that, whatever that means, then you start on another. Would you do that? See, a lot of us we don't calculate that far ahead. We always figure we're going to win. Because if we calculated that far ahead, we would be like, man, I can't do this. I can't do this extra time. But see, here's the thing. When it does go south, that's what turns people into informants. Because they know the pressure gets put down. They know the pressure gets put down on them. And when he decided to plead out, he really didn't have a choice. If he don't plead out, his girl is gone. And she had a son that was a teenager. You know, they met while he was locked up. She had a son that was a teenager. But she was already putting in work on the street. That's a choice she made for herself and her family. But when she met him, she decided to help him. So now the help that she was offering him is what got her caught up. So he had to take it. And I wanted to tell this story because, you know, when I was talking to him, I asked him, I said, man, was it worth it? He was like, nah, it wasn't worth it. He said, I did an extra 4 years in the penitentiary because he got 8. He ended up getting parole on the 8. He said, I ended up doing an extra 4 years in the penitentiary when I probably could have been out years ago and making parole on the 30. I said, I understand that. Now you know. And now y'all know. I always like to end my stories, most of the stories anyway, with a positive message and saying something that would make you understand that this lifestyle is a loser's game. And I hope that you get there with this message that I'm putting out there. I like sharing these stories with you because they're true and they're real. But the fact of the matter is when you involve yourself in the criminal lifestyle, anything can go wrong at any time. And if you're not willing to deal with the consequences of that, sit down. Sit down. Because it gets real really fast. And the consequences are immediate. Make a choice on staying free or staying street. Which one do you want? And I don't mean just free from the penitentiary or jail. I mean free mentally. Because the lifestyle is bondage as well. You understand? That whole thought process is bondage as well. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.